So we've recently screened Infidelity and Toothbrush. Let's start from this end, working that way. Tell us who you are and what your involvement is in and what project.
Hi, Matt Tolson. I played Dave, who was one of the enforcers in Infidelity.
Yeah, my name's Daniel Barrie. I played Phil, the other enforcer, in Infidelity, and since that film, I've buggered both my knees up running up them stairs. Bad.
My name is Ajitpal Babbra. Friends call me AJ. I was a writer, director, and producer of Infidelity. I think we're all Infidelity here, actually. So there's no toothbrush.
Yeah, I'm Amy and I was in Infidelity. This mic doesn't work.
Just switch it on. There's a little slider on it.
There you go. I'm Malcolm Jeffries. I was Cooper in Infidelity.
Excellent. Well, this has made this Q&A really useful for me. Nice and straightforward. Okay, do you want to talk to us about where the project came from? And then maybe you can, the rest of the team can talk to us about where they came in from.
Cool. So, I mean, really what I wanted to make was a really tense crime thriller, which I hope it was, as you guys watched it. The idea came from really a story I'd heard that like some middle-aged woman was actually hiring a private investigator to investigate her husband because she thought that he was cheating on her. And I was like, oh my god, private investigators still exist? Like, I thought it was just something that you'd see in the movies, like in Chinatown, etc., etc. So I was like, okay, that'd be quite interesting. And I had this image of like photos being dropped in front of the person and starting the film there instead of like the guy trying to find a private investigator and blah blah. Just starting the action and what is he going to do with that information in the next 30 minutes. So Tom unfortunately couldn't be here today to lead. But yeah, so Malcolm, he was in that first scene. Malcolm, do you want to talk about that first scene? Yeah.
Okay.
In what context?
In terms of like what you liked about the character.
AJ came to me with the project, and I kind of like the script. It was different. It was snappy, and he gave me some good notes on the character. I had my own ideas, like we all do as actors. And he's like, yeah, well, fuck those. This is like, no, and he the first scene. I mean, it sets it up, doesn't it? It's sort of. What I liked about the script was, even when I read it, I was like, oh right, this is standard jealous husband, and it got to that page where I was like, oh Christ, it's a psycho flatmate, and yeah, Cooper is just a standard common garden private detective, just doing his job, taking the money.
Okay, so where did you guys come in? When were you first brought into this project?
Well, I was quite last, I was quite at the end, wasn't I? I see this advert come out for a tall, bald, big, bearded, London-speaking person. I was like, sure, that's me.
Yeah.
So I gave him a call, and we had a read through, and it went really well. So I played this part where I talk this accent, which is fine. I can't stop swearing, I can't help that. But I'm not an aggressive person. I've never had a fight. I don't argue. So I like to dig into that a little bit. But yeah, I think I walked around the house for 3 or 4 weeks, talked to my wife a certain way. I said, darling, I'm in character, sorry babes. She took it very well. Yeah, and to be fair, that was my very first project I'd done, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've done a few since, yeah. And what I realised, being on that for the very first time, I think you appreciate what goes into making these small films. I mean, just, learning like 4 lines, that's fine, yeah. But the writing, the shooting is phenomenal, yeah. So hats off to all you lot who do that, it's phenomenal.
Cheers, Dan. Yeah, so it was only my second time on screen as well. So I think initially the brief was for a Cockney, and I tried a Cockney accent on the audition. I don't think it was particularly good, but I think AJ liked the yin and the yang between kind of me and Dan. It kind of seems to suit, and we've got quite a good on-screen chemistry, I think, and we kind of get on, and we've been in touch a lot, haven't we, in between. So yeah, it was really good, really enjoyable, and yeah, that's about it really.
I mean, the Cockney accent was good. I just thought the yin and yang would be great. But I mean, these guys are like good friends now.
Jack, it weren't good though, was it? It was crap when it
No,
was
it was decent. I just thought, Yorkshire, the
It did work well, didn't it? Yeah.
It seemed to work well, yeah.
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 But you two are like, my sister who's in the audience, she loves you two as like the chemistry that you had on screen, especially with the, fist bump at the end, the, rock, paper, scissors stuff. That was really, because it was quite a tense film, so I really wanted to get some like comedy relief at some points. So hopefully that kind of came through with these guys.
We really enjoyed that, the scissor, paper, stone scene. We just kind of freestyled it out and it just seemed really natural. It was good fun, yeah. And like Dan said as well, I might look like a bruiser with my haircut and the accent kind of come across as a bit of a rough one, but I'm not a particular fighter either, to be honest.
Yeah, they're the nicest guys in the world.
How about yourself?
I'm also just really new to film in general, so it's just like a new, exciting opportunity for me. And I'd just seen the call out and it was like, Krilla, Brian, I was like, that sounds like fun. I'll go for that. And I had just a really nice time doing it. And like you said, like seeing all the work that goes in behind the scenes, it's huge, and like big respect to that. But yeah, it was massively just in terms of learning all about it. Really.
What was your favourite aspect of the shoot?
To me,
Yeah,
or to
yeah.
Oh.
It's the first time going in.
oh.
What was the favourite part of the shoot for you?
There's something about like when you are under time pressure of like, we've got to shoot this scene now, like don't screw it up, get this in one take.
I didn't
Or
see
it's like when we were like out in London just like guerrilla filming it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, let's do it right.
Yeah.
There's something really exciting about like those little moments, I think.
I always ask this question because I think it's always good for an audience to know what was the most difficult part of the film to shoot.
So I think the scenes on the Millennium Bridge and St Paul's, because we were guerrilla filming there, and I mean, I think there was one point we needed a shot where Andy's character sees them kiss from above, and a random guy was just standing there, and we just kindly asked him to move, but he was like, I don't have to move, he just didn't want to move. And so it was kind of like under time pressures, as Amy was saying, trying to like, try and get all the shots. I mean, there were police officers that walked past us and were just hey, amazing. Like they weren't really like, so we really worried about nothing in a way, but the time, we had to shoot really early to make sure there wasn't too many people on Millennium Bridge, too many tourists, etc. So that was probably the toughest part. The stuff in the house was more straightforward. It was a 3-day shoot, 2 days in the house over a weekend, and that was much easier because it was our friend Sonal's house, and we had really no time pressures. But the outside scenes were definitely tough. Luckily, we filmed it in, I think, summer, so like we had a lot of light until the end, and using natural light outside was actually really good. Not a cloud in the sky for the outside scene, so it was like really good light for the cinematography.
And obviously it's shot relatively locally, isn't it?
Yes.
Aspects of it.
So I myself am from East London, Romford, but we filmed obviously the central London stuff in central London. Sonal's house was in West London, but yeah, it was a London shoot, very like urban kind of shoot, trying to find a road we can film on without people getting in the way, especially in the summer when there's like kids running around. Just make sure no kid gets in the shot, and like just trying to like manage that. But to be honest, the road where the detective or the private investigator meets Andy to collect the money for the second time was pretty quiet. And so we had no issue there. So we were quite lucky on the shoot as well.
And it's funny what you were saying. I always remember from the police involvement in terms of guerrilla filmmaking. Your fear is the police, isn't it?
Yeah.
And more often than not, they just leave you. We went through. Daniel will testify. We went through things where we were hiring people's houses so that we could stand on a street when we shot film. So it was so it looked like it was on the film. What was your biggest fear in terms of the whole guerrilla filmmaking aspect of it?
Just being shut down really, as in told to move on, because I mean I'd planned it quite well. So we had planned certain Millennium Bridge, obviously. We had a plan B, which was another bridge, which didn't look as great. St Paul's was in the background, like that would have ruined the that aspect of it. I think just the most amazing thing in the world for me is a gimbal, because once you have a gimbal and there's no tripod, a gimbal can do so much with a camera, and no one cares. The police don't care because it's not causing an obstruction. As soon as you put a tripod down, that's when people start kind of getting, so luckily we had a gimbal. We were just worried about, the police stopping us, but literally 2 officers went past and they were just like super curious about what we were doing. We weren't really causing obstruction. If these guys weren't filming, they were like about 30 meters, like just hanging out, chilling, getting to know each other and stuff. And so we were clever in the sense that we didn't make it obvious that we were like a crew of like 12, 15 people filming in central London.
Have we got any audience questions out there? Oh yes, 1, 2, 3. Probably going to have to be careful with this mic.
Hello. So, was there any problems with filming, and like, how do you overcome the problems?
So I'll tell you a quick story. We had to reshoot one part of one day. So do you know the dream sequence and also the part when he's following her on the Tate Modern side of the bridge? We filmed that super early. We didn't have a director's monitor for whatever reason. And those shots actually came in and out of focus quite a bit. So there were a lot of out of focus shots. And so we were kind of like, what should we actually do? Can we get away with this? And we probably couldn't. So we had to reshoot that first kind of day. So luckily people like Tom, Amy, Pierce, all were able to come back. So that's one thing I learned on the shoot, was always have a director's monitor. And so we use a director's monitor because we were using the Canon C70, which is a Netflix approved cinema camera, but the screen on the actual camera itself is not very, like, it looks like it's in focus, but when you actually view it on the editing platform, it actually wasn't in focus. So that was a difficulty we had, and so we had to go back for half a day. On that same day, we filmed their scene with the beating up of Michael, but that was okay. I think what happened was on the lunch break, our cinematographer realized that, these shots might be slightly out of focus, or he reset the camera. And so the afternoon, evening stuff was okay, but the morning stuff, which is about 3 hours of work, had to be reshot. But it was a blessing in disguise, really, because that second day was like blue skies, the lighting was much better. That first had a lot of cloud cover, so it just looked better on screen. So we got away with the natural lighting of that situation.
We had another over here somewhere.
Okay.
Oh.
Congratulations on your film. If you could take away anything from the experience and put it into your next film, what's the biggest thing you think you've learned from this production?
I think the film's always going to be longer than you think it's going to be. So I had this down as maybe a 15-20 minute film, but as we were editing it, so action scenes, I made a couple of short films before, but action scenes always are like half a page, but take ages to film and ages to edit, whereas dialogue scenes are quite like 1 page per minute kind of thing. And so that's one thing I would definitely take, because even in the film before this, the first like half a page was just like 2 people are running, and that turned into like a 4 minute kind of like sequence, and I was just like, oh my god, I wanted this to be like less than 15 minutes so I could like enter into film festivals and get accepted. Some film festivals have a limit of 15, like Cannes for example, and then it just ended up being 20 minutes. This one ended up being 30 minutes. Like there was a point when me and my co-producer Chirag were like, do you know what, should we just try to get a feature film out of this, try to make it that 40-minute mark. But to be honest, it was a 30-minute film. Like we even tried to like cut some parts out, but nearly every scene was essential in terms of like depth to the character. For example, if we didn't have the money exchange scene, second scene, it would have not shown Andy's kind of, when he grabs the private investigator, like he's lashing out, right? If he lashed out at Amy's character near the end, it would be like, where has that come from? Like I didn't see that in the person, even though he might be a bit psycho. But the fact that he lashed out the private investigator kind of showed that that's in him. That's something that he could do. So we couldn't really cut anything out. And so it ended up being like 29 minutes and 8 seconds. So, I mean, Romford...
very precise seconds, though.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah, another hand a little bit further back.
Hello.
My best friend.
Ajitpal.
Hey.
Yeah, great film, by the way. And I wanted to ask, what was your ultimate goal for the film? Because you dealt with issues such as stalking, obsession. Is there any reason why you chose those themes?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose narcissism was a big part of the film. You know, there's this kind of like self-proclaimed nice guys that some people call themselves, where, you know, the character of Andy was like, he didn't seem like he was dangerous. He seemed like he was a nice person, but when you looked at it, you could see, you know, he's narcissistic. He's, as the guy's getting beaten up, he's looking in the mirror, checking out his jawline. That was just kind of like in your face, he's narcissistic. But there were different things, such as, you know, trying to mess it up with all her previous boyfriends or guys she was dating, because he really felt that Scarlett was for him, and then he just had to get through these hurdles of, you know, getting her in that sense. And so there were themes of narcissism in there, kind of psychiatric disorders, emotional abuse, financial abuse, you know, charging her £200 a month for a flat in London. Everyone knows that's like kind of, you know, not on, in terms of like, you know, that's not realistic, but you know, Scarlett's character, maybe even she knows that, you know, she's getting like a good deal, but I think the crux of it is like she deep down she may know that, you know, she's taking advantage of him in a way, but he's fine with that because, you know, she stays in his house, and when she wants to leave, he's like, where are you going to go? You're broke. So that kind of financial and emotional abuse was also something I wanted to look at in the character.
Any other questions? In which case, thank you very much to all of you. Thank you for coming and sharing.
Thank you.